Hey Miranda, alright, so here is your past life spread. So, what we're going to do is we're going to look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day with relationships and feelings, the death and lesson learned, and we'll get hints of time throughout, okay? So all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of what comes through and your current life, and I'll try to help however I can, okay? So just keep in mind there are a couple of ways to make connections. There's direct and opposite. Direct connections is when you can directly connect or resonate with what comes through. And an opposite type of connection is like, for example, if someone were to die of like drowning in another life, they may come back with a fear of swimming or fear of water or that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind as far as when you're making connections. And just remember, you want to make connections, of course, but don't force anything. So whatever you may not connect with, you just want to tuck in the back of your mind for a later time in case it comes up in the days, weeks, months, year later kind of thing, and it clicks and connects later. You might want to grab a notebook and pen because a lot of stuff tends to come through. And yeah, so let's go ahead and start. So first of all, just the first thing coming through that was coming through when I was shuffling actually is the idea of coconuts. Now, you could be connecting with coconuts just like if you love coconut, if you despise coconut, or if it's something about like where we're going here, for example, is an island card. Now, like, yeah, it can be islands like Hawaii, Fiji, that kind of thing. It can also be Australia, Japan, like there's all kinds of islands, but I feel like because I'm seeing this coconut, we're at least going to a place where there is typically trees with coconuts, like that kind of island, so it feels more tropical than not. So right away that could even connect if you are someone that has always wanted to go to a tropical island for vacation, or if you see, it could be like the kind of thing where it's even your like wallpaper on your computer or your phone, like that kind of thing where that kind of aesthetic or I guess culture or vibe is something that has called to you, or at the same time the opposite connection would be if that's something that's just like, that's not my gig, I'd rather go somewhere snowy, you know what I mean? So it's however you might be able to connect with that, but in particular coconuts are coming through, and I feel like we're looking at almost like it's coming through in the sense of being a great resource. It's almost like, and what's coming through with it is the movie, Moana, the Disney movie Moana, where there's like a whole song and they even sing about coconuts. It's like that, like taking joy in the versatility and usefulness of the coconut. So that can also mean that you might find, this can be like, this might sound random or whatever, but you can even connect in the way where you might prefer, or what's it called? Yeah, I guess prefer, like if you're eating something or like learning about something that you can eat, but also has like medicinal uses and, what's it called, like beauty uses, or how there's certain things that can just have multiple uses. That might be something that you find highly intriguing, either just to learn about or prefer, to indulge in, or if that makes sense, I don't know. But that could be the kind of connection you could be making, because that's what's coming through with the feeling of the coconut, how it's versatile. Yeah, so in a sense, that might be coming through. Even the concept of versatility might be something that you value, put it that way. So however you might connect to versatility, and that it doesn't have to be food or, something that could be edible. It could be anything that you might find, like it might even be the kind of thing where you like clothing that is both practical, casual, and evening wear. Or it's, you could work out in it and also go out to lunch in it. Like, I know that's kind of random, but that's what I'm trying to say about versatility that you might prefer, if that makes sense. So, there's kind of, I guess, kind of like a practical nature about this already. So, let's keep going. Let's keep moving and seeing what comes through. So this card is the give card. I feel like we're getting the give card, not because, like, oftentimes this card comes up for, like, people pleasers, but this actually feels like it's give as in you're part of a community where just daily life is taking care of not just, like, the whole village kind of thing, but you do your tasks, you do your role, you do your part, and in doing your own part, you are giving to the whole community. Just by taking care of your part, it keeps the whole community running and functioning, okay? So I feel like that might be coming up in the way where you might connect in, it's almost like, how people are like, I want to save the world, or I want to help these people, or I want to do my part in the world and make an impact and help others, right? But really the best way to do that is to help yourself, and not in a selfish way, not that selfish is bad, but in a way where you make sure that you are, doing the best that you can do in your own life as far as self-awareness and growth and being compassionate and caring to yourself. Because when you work on yourself in that way and you're loving towards yourself, that vibration sends out waves and in turn also reflects on the exterior when you do work on the interior. That's what this feels like it's about. So it's kind of like a message of, just in the case that you connect with that, you are helping more than you know. And it's almost like maybe you just need to know that or hear that. Like, you're helping more than you know. Like, your ripple effect does affect people. And this can also come up in the case that you feel like you're working through some, let's say, lower vibrational feelings like anger, frustration, or, working through things, forgiveness, whatever it might be. That too is like, that's why you want to focus on yourself, because you want to heal up yourself so that that's not the stuff you're sending out around you. You want to heal up yourself so that you're sending out healing vibes. It's whatever's going on in your interior universe is getting reflected back out, okay? And I'm not saying, oh, you're responsible for people suffering because you're suffering. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, when you focus on healing yourself, that is what they mean when heal yourself, heal the world kind of thing. Because if everyone were to take care of themselves and heal up all their, whatever, then you would see a much more peaceable world. So do the work for yourself, and that's not selfish. Prioritizing your own inner work, your healing, your happiness, your whatever, that's not selfish. Or if it's selfish, the definition is literally prioritizing yourself, so there's nothing wrong with that, nothing bad about that, This can also indicate, though, this card could be coming up simply if you are a people pleaser. If you find that you have people pleasing notions, or if you were raised to I guess I want to say, situate yourself in a role or identity that does please others. It could be like specifically pleasing like authority figures or the patriarchy or that kind of thing. If you have noticed that about yourself in any way, this could be coming up in the case that you're transitioning out of that, or to even just bring more awareness to where you may be people pleasing so that you can stop. And it's not to say don't help people if you really want to help, but you don't have to help people if you don't want to help. You can say no, and you don't have to explain yourself. You're allowed. It's your life. So just keep that in mind. We're looking at someone also who is part of a community that functions very well together and everybody has a role. So it's like a well-oiled machine. So it could be that in your current life, you love the idea of being part of a family or a unit or a community or a class or whatever it is, where everybody functioning in their role, you can see the effect in the whole. And this can simply mean that you were born into, or chose to be born, into a community. Like it could be religious. It could be, like a church is a community, a temple is a community, that kind of thing. But this can simply be that you find yourself in a neighborhood, like a literal community of people. And that's the direct connection would be if you find yourself wanting to partake in that community, wanting to go to, let's say there's a town parade, or just partaking in the events of a community. What's it called? If there's bring your cans to help the homeless, just being part of community events or community outreach or whatever it might be. An opposite connection would be in this current life. If you're just like, I want to fly solo, I want to be independent, I want to experience freedom, I want liberation, I want my life. I want to discover things for me and my, all about me. I don't want the responsibilities of taking care of others. Because that's a lot, that's a burden. And here, it's not so much a burden though here, it doesn't feel like a burden, but then again, it's because you don't know anything else. So this could also be coming up in the case that you might be going through, I want to say you might be experiencing little bouts of revelations where you realize just how much you don't know, or almost like, it's like you might see something and you're like, I didn't even know that place existed. That's amazing. Or I didn't even know this creature existed. That's amazing. Things like that. If you find yourself going through little revelations of discovery of things in the world that you never even knew, and that brings you delight and joy, it feels like that would be a connection in the sense where this person, this aspect of you, is part of a group on an island somewhere. I'm not saying it's like so isolated, but it might be. It just feels like there's no like leaving this place, and it's not like you want to, at least I don't pick that up here yet, at least, but there's still the possibility is not really even there, because it's like you don't leave your people, you don't leave the place, it's survival, you know? So this is about survival, but it's not like you are surviving, because everything is fine, but it is like if you leave, how do you survive without your village? That's what this is. So in your current life, you actually might find that you might have trouble not trouble, but you might be someone who finds yourself to be codependent often. Almost like I want to say raised, you know, like being with your family, and then you might have gotten married and had a partner, or maybe it's like you've always had a partner and never been on your own kind of thing. And if that were the case, it would be because your soul wants to experience that, even if it's a hardship, or even if it's like if you have been on your own, we'll say like the opposite connection where let's see, where it's, yeah, very independent, or like having trouble latching onto things. So we're talking about the opposite thing we were just talking about. Your soul would want to experience that, because here it was very codependent. So if in your current life it is codependent, that's a direct connection. And you might find that you might either wonder why, or two, have yearnings for independence but find you can't quite take flight. And that would be an echo of feeling so attached to these people, this community, and the land, because it's all you know, and outside of that you would have to survive on your own, and that's just, it just doesn't even cross your mind. Okay, so that's the only reason why it might connect in your current life, where, oh, okay, now there's freedom to travel, and there's freedom to be independent, and I can own my own property, and I can just go to the store and there's grocery, you know what I mean? It's like totally different than it is here, where I feel like there's a lot of like, again, the coconut, like, you know, the lots of fruit, lots of gathering, lots of harvesting. I don't know if there's hunting. There probably is, but it's not. Oh, fish is coming through. Okay, so even that in your current life, if you're, I don't know if you've heard of the I think it's called Episcotarian. Is that a religion, or is that fish? There's a diet where it's fish. The only meat you have is fish. I think it's anyway, I'll Google it. But if you find yourself, if you love fish and fruit, I want to say fish and fruit, quite frankly, that's lingering from this. Now, the opposite kind of thing is if you're here now and you just want to eat like heavy meats and sugar and processed stuff and all the stuff that is not here. You know what I mean? Where you're experiencing a different kind of availability of different kinds of foods and resources and that kind of thing, where here it's very specific. But also I do want to say the feeling of this, and we'll get to here soon, but I just want to finish up with this. And I'm not a medical doctor, there's a disclaimer, but if you are noticing any discomfort physically, as far as like bloatiness or just like discomfort, having to take like, you know, indigestion stuff, whatever it is, I would actually, if I were you, try unless you're allergic to fish or something, try that, like look up Mediterranean diet, or look up tropical food diet or something like that, where it's fish and fruit. And I don't know, there might be something in that. As well, it could be if you know that you're like a sugar crazy person, you might want to knock off the processed sugar and actually, you know, Mother Nature's dessert is fruit, because there's natural sugar in there. Honey, agave, nectar, all that stuff is natural sugar. So it's almost like a feeling of maybe consider switching to natural sugar. And maybe you already have. Maybe you are on a wonderful diet and you're healthy and great, and that would be wonderful. But just in the case that you're feeling like discomforts in your body, achy, like bloaty, whatever, it might be your diet, essentially. Okay? So just connect however you can with that, and we're going to go ahead to the first important day. So the first important day, we have the Enlightenment card, which usually means like a leveling up kind of thing. And the relationships is family, and this is content. So what we're seeing here, I feel like, is just a swiftly moving along life, where we see this person, now the aspect is forming into a female. So it feels like we've been looking at a female aspect now. And it feels like she is here creating a family. Like this is where the creation of the family happens. I don't really get the idea that there is a marriage, but there's definitely union. So if whatever ceremony they may have to indicate a marriage of people together, it feels like it's not what we are used to. It almost is like, almost like very, it's like traditional, but there's something about it where it's not like everyone's standing around or whatever. It's almost like maybe even like a dance, like almost, it feels like there's like a dance, almost like around a fire kind of thing. And also, it doesn't feel like it's one couple at a time. It feels like there are unions with this tribe or this community where multiple people are going into union together at the same time. So let's say there's let's say they have like a bonfire night at the solstice time, and there's 4 couples, and they dance together, and at the end of the evening they're like what we would consider married, is what this feels like. So that might actually help you as far as if you want to do any research to find this about like it does feel like tribal. So if you've ever been connected, by the way, to pull to any like indigenous people, tribal kind of thing, but it would be it'd be like island community. So we're not looking at tribal, like it doesn't feel like how we consider like, oh, Native American kind of thing, but it's indigenous, tribal. Let's see if we can get an island. Okay, so I can say the island is, if you look at a globe and then you go down, so let's say you're going to Asia and you go down to, what's down there? Is that India? I think it's like India. So find India, but and then it's to the right, and anything to the right, is it India? Or is it, it's east. So it's like aligned, I want to say like if you look at Asia, the coast over here going all the way down, there are islands, and it's going to be over there. And I know that's a lot. I know it's a lot, but that's where they're directing me on a map. So that kind of thing. I would go find islands over there. And it's hard with the time too. The time period is such that if we were to visit this place now, they would still be what we would consider, I want to say like, even like, you know, like 50 years behind everything else today, like, which is a lot today. But back then, like, who knows? Like if this is the 1700s here, like the 1700s in the world, this would look like the 1400s, like that kind of thing. So what that's telling me is that time is not important for this, but that can also mean, just that alone can mean in your current life that you might be very time driven. And this would be a message that you had a lifetime where time wasn't really of importance. It was just about kind of making sure you take care of the part that you play at whatever pace is good and right, like for you, but also the community. So it's almost like a timeless kind of living. And that just might be a message for you that you need to maybe like lose your watch, like lose your time. If you find yourself very strictly following like deadlines or like a schedule that's just stressing you out, this may be a message for you to just take a step back, take some you time, readjust, give yourself more time, slow down, that kind of thing. Okay, so just connect however you can with that, and if not, that's fine. What were we talking about? The marriage thing. So I actually want to get back to this because it's very peaceable, go with the flow. You're happy with the union, everything's good, but this also might connect with you in your current life where, how do you feel about marriage? How do you feel about traditional marriage versus alternative marriage? Almost like I want to say, because the way that the unions were made here was so different, it could be like a direct connection in your current life would be if you viewed marriage kind of differently than it's traditionally viewed, right? Like almost like you might be someone that's like gosh, the amount of people spend on weddings for just 2 people, like that kind of thing might be a direct connection. But you also might be opposite, where you might be very into this whole like traditional wedding thing because it wasn't here. So your soul might want to experience traditional wedding during this kind of your current life, as far as like, like traditional like wedding style, like the venue and the cake and the dress and the this and that. That this can also mean like the concept of marriage for you. You might find yourself coming out of something traditional into a more, compatibility mode type of partnership, where you might be finding like, hey, the thing that needs to be there for the partnership needs to be compatibility, like here, because here it's about compatibility of spirit. It's not about what looks good or whether, you know, this person and this person are of the same value in the hierarchy of classes of society, because that's not about it here. In the community, everyone's equal value. So there's something there. I feel like if you can connect with something about partners being of equal value to each other, but it doesn't have to do with the class structure. It's the value of what each person brings to the partnership. So basically, I want to say, if you're in a relationship right now and it's not going so great, it could be that you feel like there's not an equal bringing to the table by both partners as far as what the other may need. If you're in a relationship and it's going well, it would likely be that both of you, or the partners, we'll say, are bringing to the table equal value of what the other needs. It doesn't mean value as in paying the bills, splitting the bills. It's equal value as in, like, you need this kind of emotional security and you need this kind of emotional security. It might not be the same, but you're both sincerely bringing to the table what the other needs, even if it's different, like that kind of value. And then if you're not in a relationship, that's the person you are waiting for, is the one that will make you feel right away like they are willing and able to bring to the table what you need, and you will meet them there. Okay? So just food for thought, connect however you can. This can also indicate how you feel about creating a family in this current life. You might be someone that's just like, I'm not into the making a family, you know, getting married, making a family kind of thing. I want to be independent. I want to experience, you know, ultimate freedom, that kind of thing, because here there is a family. However, you might also be someone who thoroughly enjoys the idea of having a family. If you don't already, you might want one, or, you know, like, that might be like on your agenda, we'll say, simply because having a family here feels good. So it's not like, so like in other past lives, if we get someone with a family that makes them feel like dragged down or like anchored or, you know, like that kind of thing, then usually they'll come back and be like, I don't want to experience a family in this life. But this one feels good. So it could very well transfer over to your current life, where you just might naturally take to being, to wanting a family, having a family, or even being someone who acts as a mother to people, or acts as a parent figure or guardian in some way to kids, younger people, that kind of thing. Okay? That's another connection you might be able to make. But yeah, so just keep making connections here where you can. We're going to the last important day. This is the Mother Nature card, which can be a natural disaster happening like in the real world, like a storm, or it could be a natural disaster on the interior of the body. And then this is the Spouse card, and this is the Joy card. So let's see what's going on here. Natural disaster, Mother Nature. Yeah, let's see. Okay, what this feels like is we are going, hold on. Okay, good. So what it feels like is up here where I said there's union made and like having kids and stuff. Actually, what's happening here is we're seeing kids down here. This is the union. This is the partnership. This is the start of a family, is the union. Here we're seeing this day is important because this is when you are either having a kid or either you conceived a child or you had a child and you were having difficulties before in your body was not producing or not carrying the egg, or having miscarriages or a miscarriage prior to being able to bring a child to fruition. Because that's why I feel like the Joy card is here. Mother Nature card is natural disaster within you. Like, kind of like, I almost want to say it's the feeling that would be, the closest thing would be endometriosis kind of thing. And it feels like the Spouse card is the relationship involved here, because there's like your partner is overjoyed in bliss that you are pregnant or have had a child. It's like, it's either like you're about to have a kid, it's about, you know, or it's almost, maybe we can just say your water broke on this day. Cause it's like, I see a pregnant belly, but then it's also like the celebration of the child being born healthily. So I feel like this is just the day of going into labor, giving birth, like that period. Okay. So this can indicate in your current life, if you have any issues with your female parts, or carrying children. If you've experienced a miscarriage, this would be an echo. That would be the kind of thing that echoes from this kind of thing. And it can also come from other things as well, obviously, but it would be a connection, as well as like if you have fear of conceiving, fear of carrying children, like, and you don't know why, but you're just like, I can't imagine my body doing that. If you have endometriosis, which would be like, I want to say if your female areas like ache, hurt, bloat, inflame, that kind of thing, if you ever notice that, if you get issues with the female areas, that would be, and again, I'm not a medical doctor, but this could be a connection as well. And there's also something about the partner celebrating so much. It's almost like this partner is celebrating for the both of you because of the hardships you went through carrying children, carrying a child or whatever. It feels like you weren't allowing yourself to celebrate until you knew that kid would be born healthy and live. Because you didn't want to feel disappointment. You didn't want to build yourself up to be disappointed again. So in your current life, you might be someone that kind of feels like the other shoe is going to drop, or you don't allow yourself to celebrate yourself or celebrate small moments or celebrate at all, really. So in fact, it's the kind of random thing where you might be someone that's like, I don't really care about my birthday. I don't want to celebrate my birthday, like that kind of thing. And not because it's an age thing, but just because it's the celebration. So if you're someone that you're not keen on celebrating yourself, it feels like it would come from here. The opposite would be if you came back and you just want to make just want to like go for it and be, this is my birthday month, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Now, if that's not the case and you're someone that isn't into celebrating yourself, this would be a message. If you connect with that, this would be a message that it is time to start celebrating yourself, even the small things and the little moments, because this goes towards self-healing in a big way. Because when you celebrate yourself, it doesn't just heal like past life stuff. It also like heals up any trauma that you've experienced in your current life. That would also, I want to say, latch on to the lack of celebration of yourself. And I'm talking like anything. Like really, like it could be as small as waking up with a good mindset and feeling good. And then celebrate that. Like, who says you can't, like, so I guess what I want to say is, if anything, this would be a message of not limiting your joy, like taking pleasure or joy in even the smallest achievements of your life. Just being here and being human and waking up and being able to feel what you feel every day, even if it's feelings of like that are bad emotions or what you would consider bad, like even if you like sorrow or angst or anxiety, I know that's not fun to feel. But there's this thing about like, if you had to celebrate it, how would you? Well, you would celebrate it because I'm just grateful I can feel emotions. I'm grateful I'm in touch with myself enough that I can feel these emotions, even if they feel icky sometimes. Like that kind of thing. I know that might be reaching or pushing for some people. They'll be like, I don't want to do that. That's fine. But whenever you need to celebrate yourself, just look for the silver lining and allow yourself to just celebrate yourself. Or it also helps you find things to be grateful for, which ultimately does boost your mood, just a little, food for thought. But don't deny yourself pleasure or don't deny yourself celebration just because you worry or fear that it won't come, because that means you're just missing out on an opportunity or a moment to feel really good. And if something doesn't turn out the way it's supposed to, fine, but at least you had that fun moment of celebrating. It doesn't, you shouldn't feel bad or stupid or silly for doing that, even if it doesn't turn out the way you thought, because it's about the moment of feeling good that really matters. That's what matters. What matters is how you feel. So the more you give yourself good feeling moments, the better it is. Okay? Like they don't have to be justified. Okay? You don't have to earn happiness. You don't have to earn celebration. You don't have to earn joy. But anyway, connect however you can with this. We're going to the death card, which is the accident card. Let's see what's going on. You know what? I think a coconut hit you on the head. That's bizarre. I think that's why I was saying a coconut. I think a coconut knocked you out. Like, I think you were much older and you couldn't move swiftly, and I feel like you're just like, there's like a canopy of trees, and I think I would honestly, if you can, go look up death by coconut, please. Not like eating coconut, but just see if anybody dies from being bonked on the head by a coconut, because I think it put you into, I give you a concussion. I think you passed out. Sorry, I know that's bizarre. I've never had that. But just see if just look it up and see if coconuts are heavy enough to do that. Like, see if that's actually possible, because that's what it feels like here. So that's all I'm gonna say. The only connection I can make to this is if you really dislike coconuts, or if you fear being hit in the head for no reason. You know, you just like are paranoid about being hit in the head. That's the kind of connection you can make, all right? So keep making connections there, and we're going to the lesson. So the lesson is the let go card, and I feel like this actually pertains to your current life, because it's showing how in this life there wasn't attachment in the way we know it now. Like, there wasn't like needing to let go in order to live a peaceful, happy life. There's a flow, is what I want to say. There's a flow here because it's not about controlling anything. In this community, your only job is to do your tasks, take care of yourself, play your role. You know what I mean? Like, you have a role in the community, just do your role, and that's it. And it was very flowy and peaceable in that way. And it's just, I feel like this is coming through as far as in your current life. Let go of control and just focus on your role and your tasks, which I feel have to do, at least at this time, with self-healing by the certain things we talked about, such as celebrating yourself when you can. Believe it or not, that is homework for you. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And if you focus on that, the more you focus on your interior universe, the less you'll feel like you need to control things, because you'll see the reflection of your inner world in the outer, so that the outer isn't kind of, I want to say, the outer isn't, what's the word, tempting you to put control measures on things. So if you find yourself needing to control certain things, go inside, like go within. I know that's very abstract, but it's all coming from feeling a lack of, I want to say a lack of connection within, so it's reflecting outside as a disconnect that makes you want to control. Hopefully this makes sense. So when you go inside and you work on the alignment, connection, getting in touch with who you are, celebrating all the parts of yourself, that kind of thing, that connection will be reflected on the outside, so you'll feel more in the flow. You won't have to control. I want to leave it at that, because I feel like that's where I want to say your focus should start now. If it's not already, put it here at letting go of the need to control and start focusing on you, prioritizing you, your happiness, celebrating yourself. Okay? But anyway, there is your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections, and thanks for letting me read you.